What you're about to watch is a special private training session for people who bought a copy of my book, Built to Serve. Enjoy. Okay, so what was our topic? How to manifest the power of belief through visualization and positive thinking to achieve something great or seemingly impossible. So that's an interesting one. I don't use a ton of visualization in my day-to-day. Positive thinking. I think the best thing, if you want more belief, is just to have the environment around it. Right. I just came off a podcast, like just before this, I was talking to a woman and we're talking about courage. Her who is courage. So going through the who I how process, or who is courage. She's built a successful business, wants to have a bigger impact. Okay, it's going to be by injecting people with more courage. And she's like, well, what do I do when I get stuck? Like when I get stuck on what to do, I don't know what my next step is. I get scared. It's like, well, is the problem that you don't know the how, or is the problem that you're just actually lacking courage? It's like, you know what? I'm just I don't have the courage. So we get in our own way. We feel a lot of times that it's the how, but we talked about Sasha Fierce is Beyonce's alter ego. So when Beyonce needs to summon her best, most bold, most courageous self, she becomes somebody else. She named it. Sasha Fierce. Is that right, Zan? Yeah, Sasha Fierce. So she becomes somebody else to go do the thing that she was afraid to do. And so I think a lot of times we get caught up on the how, when the problem is really you're just not in tune with who you actually are. Because if you're showing up as your most courageous self, you can conquer anyhow. The how now is not, you suddenly feel unstuck. So how do you get more belief? How do you manifest belief? I think you need to be around believe more. Like if it's my content, then there's 20 videos, 30 videos a day that we upload across our channel. So it's no shortage. You can have it on repeat on loops and you'll never have to hear the same video again because there's so much content going up. But whatever else is the thing that helps you feel that way, whether that's other podcasts or actual humans in your life, or videos or shows or books or podcasts or coaches, whoever makes you feel that way, be around that more often. And then you'll start to be it. Think about my office is designed with intent. This tells a story, I believe, these pictures, the things on the wall, the outfit that I wear. I'm Captain America showing up for work. You got Zane with his Captain America shield behind him. I think all of that matters.
I would say more Superman, but okay.
I'm Superman?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Superman. Okay. You're Captain America. Great. Like I feel like a superhero putting this on, like it's part of the ritual. I'm putting this on, and that might sound silly or stupid or crazy, whatever. That doesn't matter what you have to do. It makes me believe more in myself. If meditating naked on the balcony with your cat is the thing that helps you feel believe, then go do that. Like, awesome. No judgment. And so I think the routines you have, as well as what you're injecting into your environment, both, like, this is a physical environment, right? The walls behind me, that's possible to change. I'm not changing that every day. But then there's the habitual things that we do that impact our environment. The clothes I wear, it's a habit. The videos I create and I watch is a habit. The rooms I show up to is a habit. Hiring a coach is a habit, right? Like, all these things are the habits we have that then can inject more of that belief. So whoever is saying it in the way that resonates with you, that's what you need more of in your life. And that may change. Next year you may need somebody else. I like to say that Oprah and Eric Thomas have the same message, right? Oprah hugs you and Eric Thomas yells at you, but it's the same message. And some days you may need more of the hug, and some days you may need more of the yell or the push. Great. Like, no judgment. Take what you need as long as you're getting more of that belief. So I think that's way, for me at least, more important than visualizing. Like, I don't visualize myself having 10 million subscribers or whatever the next goal is. But I know that as long as I'm around the people who are challenging me to believe more in myself, great things will happen. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's at least my take on it. Thank you, Jose, for asking it. So what do you guys got? How can I help? How can I serve? What's on your mind?
Evan, I have a question that kind of plays off of what you were talking about in movement makers today.
Okay.
So I'm not doing interviews yet. Like I'm not interviewing anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready for that. I don't have time for that. And I've still got little ones running around the house for at least another year. But I'm doing a lot of interviews. So I'm being interviewed. I've done 24, I don't know, close to 30 maybe since February.
Nice.
Thank you. And I'm noticing that like my message is changing because I'm changing. So like every time I learn something new, my message shifts a little bit. So I was taking all the information basically that you were giving out this morning to make me a better interviewee versus a better interviewer, and also helping to kind of guide those people that are new to interviewing, because I'm definitely noticing a difference between people who are brand new and people who are kind of experienced. Because a lot of times I'm spending 45 minutes just talking about my life, and I feel like I'm just like going on and on and on. So my question is I was thinking about doing like a bulleted list of kind of like important points that I think will be good to talk about to kind of keep myself on track. And I'm wondering how, you see how to phrase the question, like how do I best kind of tie in my overall message with like the new stuff that I'm learning, but also, I guess, tailor it to the person who's interviewing me or not interviewing me, as the case may be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That actually could be a really cool follow-up session for movement makers, is how to be a really good interviewee. Because there's a lot that we can cover there as well. The question was on the interviewer side, but there's a lot we can go over how to be a good interviewee as well, which I think would be helpful for movement makers. So I'll file that away if you guys want to vote on that topic for next time around. Zane's like shaking his head like, okay,
Yep.
maybe I'll vote on that. I would not give them a list of topics to talk about, because then you're going to easily default back into your usual stories. And that's not great for them, for their show. And it's also not great for you, because now you're just saying the same stuff. You're not learning, you're not being challenged, you're not growing. So hopefully they've done some kind of research, or they're interested in you for some reason. For the beginner stuff, turn it into a coaching session for them, even though they didn't ask. And the easiest way to do that is ask, why are you interested in that? It's like, Bonnie, how did you get started, or whatever? It's like, why is that so important? And then they're going to say some kind of story. And then you tie that into, like, your message is still to be unbreakable, right? There's so many ways that help people be unbreakable. And my stories have changed. Hopefully, like if I send the exact same stories that I said 8 years ago, that's not cool. There's not a lot of growth there. There's still some, like, okay, my origin story and, most painful moment of my life, etc. Those will still pop up. But I like the challenge of sharing new stuff. In Movie Makers today, I could have talked about the Tony Robbins interview that I did 3 or 4 years ago, like my first one that got me really nervous. But I've told that story so many times. So I'm going to talk about the Matthew McConaughey one. So it took me more time to go and prepare that. I had to go find the quotes and put the pictures together. And that took more time than I could have just recycled the same story. And most of you guys probably haven't even heard the Tony Robbins story. But I want to challenge myself. I like the fun. So if somebody's coming to you and they're really new, you might have to take charge of the conversation. Even if they're not new. Like I talked about Jordan Belfort when I went to his Wolf of Wall Street podcast. So he's based in California. They wanted me to come for almost a year. Like his team reached out, hey, Evan, we want to do your show. We want you on our show. Can you come to the show? But it has to be in person. It's okay. Well, I don't know. The next time I'm in California, I can let you know. And so when I was there, I did my tour and I did a stop there when we finally made it happen, but it'd been almost a year. And when I showed up there, whenever I show up to an interview, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, let's go. I mean, I know of Jordan Belfort. I watched some of his top 10 videos that we made on him just so I had context. But then he just starts asking a bunch of, like, he had done no research on me, I don't think. So he didn't know anything, right, about me. And that's, I think, part of his style is he just wants to just hang loose and see what happens. So he's asking me questions about my early career and all this stuff. And I just started to feel like, okay, this thing is going nowhere. Like, I don't know what the point of this is happening. Like, what are we doing? So then I flipped it to started talking about YouTube and started critiquing his channel. And it turned from that 25-minute interview to an hour and a half, and him rushing to get to the next thing and calling his son up because I started coaching him on his channel. Like, I took control of that conversation. I have to do that a lot with smaller shows because, one, they're just getting started and I might be their first guest. I like being people's first guest. And two, they're also sometimes a little intimidated in that, oh my God, I've been watching your content for 8 years and you changed my life. And I can't believe I'm having this moment. And then, like, they can't control themselves. So I need to often take control, but it can happen with bigger people as well. So you're thinking, okay, how can I actually serve this person? How can I help them? And so you can't if you don't know much about them. So you asked about them. So you asked, why is this question? They ask you a question that you've answered a million times. Why? Let me ask you something first. Why is that question so important to you? Like I said, Bonnie, what would you tell your younger self? That's a great question. But let me ask you first why that's your first question. Like, what is the answer? How's that going to help you? And then they're going to answer. Hopefully, they should play ball. And then you take the interview off course. You've seen that in the gaming channel when we do the live streams a whole bunch of times, and people ask a question, especially definition questions. That's one that always gets me. Like, what's your definition of an entrepreneur? It's like, okay, but why is that your question? Why do you care about how does the answer to that help you with anything? And then that leads to a better question. So you can guide people by asking why they care so much about the answer to that question. I would do that instead of giving them a list of topics to say, here are 8 things that I know how to talk about. I think you'll get a better answer.
I just find, like I said, now that I'm doing like 1, 2, 3 of these a week, like, now people are doing pre-interview interviews, which is honestly, and this sounds maybe crappy, but it's driving me crazy because I'm like, I like the organic conversation. I like them.
Say no, we don't do them. I don't do pre-interview interviews.
And then they're asking me, they want my bio, which I totally understand, but they're not, it's like they're being lazy, and it's like, I'm just being honest because I know you can help me, but it's like they're being lazy. They don't know who I am. And I have bios everywhere. Like, the app that I'm using is called matchmaker.fm, and it's literally just for podcast guests and hosts. And I'm like, I wrote a 1-page, everything you need to know about me thing. And this one guy literally asked me to send him 8 bullet points today. And I'm going, well, what are you supposed to do? Like, I'm supposed to show up and answer questions and help you. Like, I'm doing your job, I feel like. And again, I know that sounds maybe like I'm still getting started, and maybe that sounds kind of conceited, but at the same time, it's like, why am I even coming on your show if you don't know anything about me and aren't really interested in what I have to say? If that makes sense.
It's setting up boundaries, and you're letting it happen, right? So
yeah, I did, and this is like the 3rd one, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Great, no, I'm like, shouldn't.
Or 2nd one.
So I would have for me, I love video. So I have a video that explains what to expect in an interview with me, and I'll say a lot of the things that we talked about today. It'll be, don't read my bio. I don't care if you read my bio. Tell me why, why I'm here. Just introduce me as however you want. I don't care if you miss something. Don't even introduce me, and do the introduction before or afterwards. And let's just dive into the content. Ask me the questions you care the most about yourself as a human that you want help with. And my assistant sends out that video, but you could make a quick video explaining what it's like to work with you. And anytime they write back, can you give me 8 bullet points or whatever, you say, hey, here's my video about how I like to work that I think would find valuable. And in there you can address content. It's like, as far as the content goes, here's a link to my story. Ask me anything you want about it. Or otherwise I'm open. Like, whatever the theme of your show is, I want to spread a mission of being unbreakable. How can I use that to serve you? You know, I'm happy to go anywhere. I'll go anywhere. I may not have an answer. Like people don't ask me about gardening or something because Nina would know really well, but not me, or DJing, right? I mean, people don't. Although I have done a lot of salsa DJing, but in general, people aren't asking me about that kind of stuff. So they tend to stick inside the wheelhouse. But if I'm on a service like that, you're gonna, just like if you're on a matchmaking website for dating, you'd have people just sending you like, hey, want to hook up? He's like, no. So you don't want those people, right? So you have your video, you teach people, and if they don't watch it or they don't care, then you move on because they haven't taken the time to look at how to work with you.
So Fernando's about to ask you a question. I want Fernando to know, you think I'm nice? Evan is super, super nice. He's a wealth of knowledge and information. So don't hold back. He's super sympathetic and he's super understanding. So don't be nervous, Fernando. This is Evan Carmichael. He's the coolest guy. So,
all right, let's go, Fernando. What do we got?
Right, yeah. So I have difficulty identifying my personal purpose, my one word.
Okay.
I followed the exercise on the book. I listed 46. I'm really finding it hard to narrow it down. My background is I've been always good at obeying. And maybe Zane was right that I may have the disease to please. I came from being a missionary for 7 years. When I opted out to earn a living, I moved to a nonprofit and supported their cause. Ever since, my purpose was always behind the organization's goal. But now that I'm doing something for myself, and it's just now that I finally sit down and think of what value do I really, what are my core values really. I'm having a hard time identifying, and yeah, I'm
So
not sure.
What were the 4 that you came up with?
It's 46.
46.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now, if you have that many, then you have to start grouping them. So the next step is there's going to be a bunch that fall into similar buckets.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get them into buckets. So like inspiration and motivation are 2 different words, but they're in the same kind of bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes the next job. Zane, did you already do the one-on-one with him? Not yet. Okay. You should definitely do.
Not yet.
I read your lips. I read your mind.
Okay.
You should definitely do. You get a free one-on-one with Zen anyway if you bought the book. So you're here. But you should do that before you meet Zen.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get it down to 5 buckets. So you take those 46 and you're putting 9 or 10 inside different buckets.
All right.
So you're categorizing them, and don't worry about them being perfect, like inspiration, motivation, whatever. They're close enough to the same thing. So, if you're a missionary, maybe you have faith as one of the words, or maybe, Jesus or God or whoever, right? I mean, it's all in the same bucket. That's one bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So make your 5 buckets, spend time categorizing them. And then when you talk to Zan, he can help you narrow it down to the one most important one. And then, Dan, this is classic, like one word and then credo, right? The who and then credo. So we'll show you how to actually make them all fit. But if I asked you what are the 46, the problem is if I asked you what are the 46, you wouldn't know. There's just too many. You don't memorize them. So if you haven't memorized them, then you're not living them. Where if I'm believe and Bonnie is unbreakable and Zan is confident, it's a lot easier to remember it. And when you remember it, you're more likely to live it.
Right.
So that's what we need to get you to do, is to take those 46. That's actually the hardest part. Just identifying the list is the hardest part. So that's great. You've already done the hard work. It may not feel like it, but that's the hardest part. Now it's just categorizing them, your 5, and then Zan will help you turn that into 1 plus 3 underneath.
All right. Should I focus on what I have always been as people see me, or on...
So the values are evergreen, like they live forever. That they're what you have been and what you continue to want to be. Like believe is what I've always wanted to be. It's what the questions are like, what did you love about your parents, and who was your favorite teacher growing up and why, and what kind of music do you like and why? You know, if you think about your favorite teacher, who was your favorite teacher? Did you answer that one?
My history teacher in third year high school, he was really weird but confident guy.
Okay, well, here, so it's not because he taught you history, right?
Yep.
Because he made you feel something. He made you a better person somehow. It wasn't the content, it was how he made you feel about yourself. So, you know, what did he make you feel? He made you feel more confident. He made you feel it's okay to be weird. What else did he make you feel?
Yeah, now that you've said it, I think, yeah, there might be something. I did not see it that way when I answered that question.
Well, that's, you know, we're doing it right now. So what's one more? He made you feel confident. He made you feel okay to be weird. And what else?
Yeah, he made it. He made me feel that it's okay to be weird.
Confident.
He excelled at what he does and really does it well.
Okay, so he was
Doesn't mind people
competent.
telling him.
He was
Yep.
competent in his work. So confidence, competent, and okay to be weird. That's him. So here's the thing, Fernando. What do you still need now? You still need to be more confident. You still need to be more competent, and you still need to believe that it's okay to be weird. Right?
Mhm.
And listen, all of us do too. I need to be more confident, and embrace my weirdness more as well too, right? And everybody on the call, the exact same thing. So those are some of the values, right? It's not because he taught you about how the Civil War happened or, you know, whatever, right? It's not the history class that he taught you. He taught you how to be a better human with these three things. So you repeat that exercise for the 5 essential questions that are in the book. That was one of them, but your favorite movie, what did you love about your parents, etc. And you'll get a list, but then you can start to bucket, right? You could start to create categories, and then you take that to Zan, and he'll help you turn it into your who and your credo. And then that gives you a lot more guidance. Because if you come down to something like, it's okay to be weird, like say that was your core at the top. Now you have to get a lot weirder, you know, like now Fernando's got to really embrace some inner weird, right? And that could be the ultimate, talking about escaping a life of you've only worked for other organizations and taking on their mission, whether it's a missionary or another organization. A lot of them don't allow you to be weird because you just have to show up and do the thing that they tell you to do. Now you got to go find your own thing and embrace your weirdness. So maybe that's what you land on, but maybe it's confidence, maybe it's competence, maybe it's something else. But what we find, then that's going to be for the rest of your life. It's like you're going to be 95 years old, Fernando, being the weird guy, you know, dancing on the street. Because you just spent the past few decades embracing your weirdness, right? That'll be the best of who you are. So that's why it's a really valuable exercise. So see it through that lens. Maybe now it's not 46 anymore. Maybe you narrow it down, or maybe it becomes 146 now. You know, however it works, it doesn't matter. That's fine. Like having a big list is better than having no list, right? The first edit of Built to Serve was bigger than the final edit. Like just getting it out is the most important thing, and then editing down is a lot easier to get it down to your 4 or 5 buckets. That's exciting, man. You're in for a wild ride. You're gonna have a lot of fun with Zan too.
I told you he was good. I told you.
Thank you very much.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.